Because of the PowerPoint, I asked him why.
Good evening. I'd like to call the budget workshop of the North Branford Town Council to order. It's Tuesday, March 25th, 6:30 p.m. in Town Council chambers. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Angeloni.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McMillan.
Present.
Counselor Abelson.
Here.
Counselor Diamond.
Here.
Counselor Goad.
Here.
Counselor Miller.
Here.
Counselor Palladino.
Here.
And Counselor Palicia.
Here.
Okay, so tonight we are here to give each of the three departments that will be before us an opportunity to just do an overview of their budget and their capital, and allow the council to ask any questions of them. We're going to try and keep it to 30 minutes for each department as we go along. So the first one up is Board of Education.
Okay, thank you. I've got some handouts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Be graded?
Only after. Okay, I know we do not have a great deal of time, so we're going to move through this quickly and give you the opportunity to ask questions. On Friday afternoon, I received from the town council 6 questions. I'm not going to read them to you out loud. I'm just going to go through these quickly. The first question is about the number of school choice students that we have that come in from New Haven. The board each year has to vote on a number of open seats. The board approved 26 seats for next year. We currently have 22 students enrolled from the New Haven district in our open choice program. They are listed by grade there, starting with 4th grade or lower, one lower, all the way up through the senior year, which is the 12th. So 4 will be graduating now. The number of students who receive special ed services. Due to the small number of students allowed, disclosing the number of special ed students may be a FERPA violation. However, please note that if a student's special ed costs exceed the per pupil amount received as part of the choice program, the sending district covers the additional cost. New Haven picks up anything over our cost per pupil. They also pay for transportation. They're billed directly from DACA, so we have no interaction with New Haven for any of that for special ed services or for transportation. The only thing that we involve ourselves with New Haven is we receive $3,000 per student that comes in from New Haven towards their educational costs, additional costs. So we use that. We have a person at the high school that we employ that oversees, that manages, that assists, that's the liaison between the home and the school. How many AP courses are offered at the high school? I'm going to hand out to you data from Mr. Steffler, going back several years, 10 years, to look at our enrollment, the offerings, the percentage of students who score in the score ranges.
Thank you.
We are a recognized school of excellence for the advanced placement test, which students can earn college credit for and save them quite a bit of money in the process if they have to, if they eliminate classes because it has to be. So you have that in front of you. I'm not going to go through all of those. We currently have 12 courses at the high school that are advanced placement college credit courses. The teachers have to qualify to be able to teach the content of those classes. They vary. We have a wide range from history, music theory, art, AP language and comp, and mathematics, obviously there, psychology. We're adding one new course next year, which is world history. It's a graduation requirement. We currently offer it at the college prep and honors level. And we had a number of students who wanted to challenge themselves and take it at the advanced placement level. And we have a qualified teacher to instruct that course. Approximate number of students who take the advanced placement college courses. 82 students took AP courses during the 23-24 school year. The range is usually between 75 and 100 students. With just under 500 students enrolled in the high school, that is a very strong percentage of kids who qualify to take AP courses. It's very difficult to get into the AP prep. You have to have a certain grade point average to qualify and have to be in good academic standing and get a recommendation from your previous teacher to enter into the course. What percentage, and this is the part that's, if you look at it at a national norm and how our students do coming from a small high school, what percentage of students pass the AP exam to qualify for college credit? Typically about 78 to 90% of the students who take the courses qualify for college credit. Depending each university's criteria, which varies from college to college. So a score of 3 is a passing score of 5. A 5 is a perfect score on the AP. We have many students each year that pass at least 3 classes with greater than a 3, either a 4 or a 5. That's why we're able to get our students into the most competitive colleges that they choose to go to. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the AP. Any questions on what I just shared with you about choice or AP?
So on the AP classes, do the students or parents pay for the AP course that they?
The students
or the
pay for their
fee.
first test, the student pays for. Anything after that, the district pays for. So we put into our budget, I believe, Mr. Stepper, $10,000?
Yes, for that and the PSAT.
For the PSAT as well. The state pays for the SAT. We pick up the PSAT preparation SAT and the second AP class in any of those after that. The test is about $97. We've been doing this for several years. Because some kids would want to take 3 classes, they would get into a financial situation, we'd end up picking up the cost for the student. So currently right now, enrollment, AP Psych, we have 14, AP Stats, we have 20, these are students enrolled. AP Language and Comp, 32, we run 2 sections there. AP Environmental Science, we have 37 students with 2 sections running. AP Bio 8, Calculus 6. Spanish runs every year in order to get that 5th year and take the AP, we have 2 there. Every other year we run AP Music Theory. We have AP Studio Art, and we combine 3 classes to offer that class. We have Art Honors, Drawing 2, and AP Art Studio with kids there. Yes.
This is more a personal question, but are there any thoughts of doing an AP Economics or Business class?
Talk to me after my presentation, I only have 30 minutes.
I understand. That's fair.
And AP US Government, we have 22. Okay?
Besides New Haven, what other surrounding towns actually, percentage of students do we accept, and the other towns pay for? So are there other
We just
surrounding
take from New
towns?
Haven.
So there's no other students from any other towns that come to North Branford?
No. So we're only the Choice New Haven study district. We have 20 students that leave North Branford and go to New Haven each day. So we have Sound School, we have a number of magnet schools, and a lot of times people that work in New Haven, if they don't get into our pre-K or K program, they'll commute their children into New Haven and then bring them back. We have 4 pre-K students in New Haven right now.
How many students are in high school?
In the high school?
Yes.
473.
From New Haven?
Oh, from New Haven, 4.
And are they AP students?
I can't divulge any personal information about any student that's a FERPA violation. Okay. Any other questions about?
Do you have any UConn courses? No, you just.
Yes, we do.
You do?
We
Okay.
offer UConn English,
Creative writing.
creative writing.
We also offer
That's great.
a new course that one of our English teachers teaches that's related to society and sport.
Okay.
And there's 2 different ones that
That they can take for credit at Southern Connecticut State University. So UConn, you have to qualify as a teacher.
Right.
You have to have a set SAT score to get into it, and then you can earn credit from UConn passing the exam.
I like that.
So, all right. If there are no questions on your questions,
But not all the things.
we're going to take the budget for it. I'm going to pass to you from CASBO surrounding town budgets that were presented with the superintendent's number and then the Board of Ed number. So you'll hear our number that we started at 8%, we're down to, we're at, not down to, we're at 6.16. So you'll see other surrounding areas that are highlighted in yellow, and where they are, oh, that's good.
That's all right. Nah, I got a copy from Mike.
Thank you, sir.
And you'll see we're kind of in the middle there, where we came in. And now what you've been waiting for. You skipped on the last one? Okay. Now, this will speak to the increases. We're similar to any other town in the state of Connecticut. The increases and why
Thank you.
our number has been driven in the direction that it's in, for things that we have no control over. So as you can see, the budget that we first originally presented to the board was 36,620,128. The board budget was at 8.02. It was cut by 629,000. And you can see that the number below at 6.16, that's what we're coming in at right now, that the board approved and voted on. The reductions to get from 8.02 to 6.16 are listed below. There are 12 significant cuts that we made. There are others, they do not total up to the 600, but we wanted to show the ones that were most significant, over $10,000. I'll kind of read, see if you have any questions. Okay, next page. We currently have 306 employees in the district. Next year, 306, no change. Status quo number for employees. There are no new programs or increases in employees. Year over year total benefits comparison, 24-25, you see the number 5136, 25-26, 6065, almost $1 million increase or an 18% change. Below, there's 3 bullet points, if you want to read through those. Ms. Vaughn is here this evening. If you have specific questions about that, she can answer those.
Okay, so Anthony, does the town generally pay their July insurance in June? As it states here that it's a practice, accepted practice for both the Board of Ed and the town. I haven't seen this in our budget,
We typically pay in the month
that it's due.
of due. I mean, it depends on, we've had an issue recently with the Teamsters, quite honestly, where if we pay like on the 1st, they've actually had hiccups with the insurance, where you've gone to the doctor on the 1st, they say your insurance is canceled. So we may be paying them earlier or on a quarterly basis going forward to eliminate the embarrassment of going to the doctor and saying your insurance is canceled. So I think the key thing, as long as there's 12 payments in a fiscal year, that's kind of the key barometer. If you pay one early consistently, as long as you have 12 payments in a fiscal year, I think that's probably the more
You'll see in the April 1st, we went back to 2008 and showed all of our payments moving forward to the town when we were self-insured. So you'll see dating back to 08 when we could gather as much of the data to show how that's been done. Okay, so we'll show that to you on the 1st in the PowerPoint. This is a quick overview, guys. You're going to get a binder of paper April 1st, okay? So that will go back to 08, where you'll see that common practice with 4 years going to the town, paid in June. Certified teacher count on that 165 this year. I'm looking to retain and have 165 next year. Special services, which includes, and you'll see the note here, psychologist, social worker, speech and language, 70, looking to retain 70 for next year. Transportation, 2.22, 2.7, 4.6, 464,000 increase, 20%, but down below, you'll see there's a 24.9 increase due to outsourced transportation for our special ed students. We are required to provide transportation to them. And these are vendors other than DATCO. Those are all private vendors that transport any outplaced students from DATCO. We added $36,000 back into our budget for a late bus. The board voted and decided to have a late bus for our middle and high school students that end either practices, after-school help, or clubs. So at 4:30, they can get home and take the burden off the parents. So we run 2 buses. We run one to Northford, and we run one to North Branford. And the middle school especially is very dependent on that transportation for their kids to stay out and be a part of extracurricular activities, as is the high school when they're not driving. The current contract is a 4% increase on DATCO. We're in a 5-year contract. We're in year 3 with the bus company. At the current year budget, 24-25 is lower than it should be with increases which are needed for 25-26. Facilities, and I'll ask Martha to speak to this. 1.4 to 1.7, it's a $306,000 increase, 21%.
There are 2 main reasons for that increase. One is we're in need of a new phone system, and Tom can speak to that. And the other is a substantial increase that we need to add to our electricity solar lines. If you remember last year, we had requested additional money in our budget for solar, specifically the administrative fees that we now have to pay. And unfortunately, we still have some credits. We currently have a credit of $79,000 at Jerome, $150,000 at MBIS, and $53,000 at the auditorium. The credit for the high school has been all used, so we are paying full cost at the high school now, but in addition to the solar benefit that we get, we have to pay for the administrative charge of that. So I've created new account lines for this current year so that I could track the cost, and it's going to be about $280,000.
So the credit that's on the UI bill, that doesn't...
So what happens is each month they show our usage, and then they show the credit that was earned in that particular month, and then they're using any credit on account to pay for the invoice. But with our smaller schools like Jerome and Totucket, the credit is actually more than what we're using.
Well, yeah, Totucket's
So-
not on it, so that
I'm
doesn't
sorry,
apply.
Jerome and intermediate school in the auditorium.
Right.
They are, so for instance, for last month, we had a UI bill for $7,000 at Jerome. We had a current credit for that specific month of $3,000 that we earned. And then the $4,000 that was owed on the bill was paid with our credit on account.
Right,
So we
okay,
didn't pay anything outright to UI for,
correct. And then you have the solar bill
yes. And then
for
we
the
have
energy part of it. So I saw that in your budget on the
Right.
line items. So if Jerome has a credit and the high school, or the middle school and the auditorium still have credits, which 280,000 as of now, I mean, it was 375 in.
Yeah, right now we
June.
have, 280,000 in.
For those
credits.
3
So
schools.
we're trying to get the credits that are on those 3 smaller buildings applied to the high school, but there's difficulty in getting them applied to the high school, and I really don't understand. I don't know if Anthony can speak to this, but I think we were told that Pura actually has to.
Past credits, you can't move. You could change the designation of your credits going forward. So if you want to put more of your credits towards the high school, your bigger bill, you could do that. The past credits have to sit there and you have to eat them eventually as
Okay.
time goes on. You shouldn't put more there theoretically, you should put all your credits to the big bill in the high school. But it's not as easy as it sounds, the UI gets involved, we're like the only solar field related to municipalities, and it's kind of like uncharted territory, and everything is not as easy as you would like to make it, to think it would be. But I think that we did the same thing on the town side, we stopped some of the credits to the smaller ones, and we're having them applied to ones that we have bills with consistently. Again, it's not a flip of the switch kind of thing, it takes an act of Congress to get it happen, and you can't change your prior credits, that's the other thing that would be nice, if you could take the old
Right,
credits
right.
and move them to your big bills,
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
but you can't.
it's not the way the thing is set up.
Thanks again.
We gladly give the solar away and just do our straight electricity
Electricity.
over time. We want to take the solar. It's the time and the resources that I know Anthony and central office has put in to try to figure this out over the last, how long has it been?
Going on third year.
Third year. I mean, it's astronomical, the charges for the solar administrative charges.
But I think
think it's a winner in the
in
end.
16 months, we saved over $500,000 on electricity costs. So I don't think you've spent $500,000 in administrative fees. So I think it's a win-win. So that's not going to happen. But on page 16 of your status quo budget that was sent to us, so if you still have all of these credits, why do you show so much for electricity, the electricity part, not the solar, I understand the solar part, but why would you show, $100,000 at NBIS if you still have $150,000 credit?
Because we're hoping that those credits can get moved to the high school where they can be readily used up, and that we resume back to, I want to say, almost a normal UI bill at those three other schools. Because we've been working with Pura and the solar company and UI, and we don't know when that's going to happen. So just budgeting in, the best that I can for what I believe is accurate.
But did you take the credit into account in these figures? Because if you're going to move them to the high school and you feel that you're going to pay there, then is the high school lower because you took this $280,000 and moved
The
them
high
there?
school's bill is significantly higher, as you would expect, so those credits will get used up very quickly. Right now, we are paying invoices for the high school, so if we were lucky enough to move those credits over to the high school, then we would still have bills at the other schools.
The high school is by far the most expensive
Right.
building, even with the high efficiency heating, cooling, it's
So,
astronomical.
so this 280 is on the books right now, and Anthony just told us we can't move these credits, so these credits will stay with those schools. You can't move these over. So that is $280,000 that will stay with those schools, and you can't move them over. You can move the designation of the solar over to the high school moving forward, but that hasn't happened, and that has nothing to do with this $280,000.
We kind of had the same conversation last year at this time, and I did reduce my electricity budget for this current year by $275,000. And right now, I'm currently over budget in my electricity by that amount. So for me to keep budgeting in the negative like that, I mean, I'm just not comfortable doing that because in a year, it hasn't changed.
Okay, well, I guess I don't understand how you'd be over budget if you took those credits and applied them to the $275,000, how you can be
Well,
over
and
budget.
it's no longer off of assumptions, it's off of actual invoices that we've received. So now we've had a whole year of actual invoices and the solar running.
Okay. You can move on.
I have a quick question, please. Just out of curiosity, it seems like it's like 6, 1/2 dozen, whether it's applied to, 2 schools, 1 school, whatever, unless I'm missing something. So what would the benefit, would it administratively, would it be easier to manage if they were all applied to the high school? Why is it not 6, 1/2
That would
dozen?
be easier. There was just high school.
That's what we were asking for, but I guess the way it was originally set up 3+ years ago,
But explain to me why that would be better for you
High
guys.
school uses more electricity. than
well, because the high school's
But
our
the-
biggest
the-
school
the-
that
The electricity
uses.
usage between the 3 schools is one sum. Whether you're applying it, it's 6, 1/2 dozen. Unless I'm missing something, that's why I'm asking.
Because the smaller buildings don't have those large electricity bills every month, whereas the high school does. So the credits that are being earned in the current month
So it's harder to keep track of.
Yeah,
are
it's an
building
administrative
up.
thing.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
For the other buildings, because they're designated for the 3. Anything else on utilities? Pretty straightforward. Enrollment, you can look at the chart. Projected change is going up.
Scott, excuse me 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
I noticed there's a huge jump in the telephone.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Yeah, there's a
Tom, you
new,
want to speak to that?
Yeah, so the increase in the phone bill is twofold. One, it's due to a massive increase in Frontier rates. That is for POTS lines, which are all the emergency lines within the schools. Those went up over 20% this year. Those we are actively working with the fire marshal to move off into a cellular option that would be cheaper for us. But that does take time to be code compliant. The second is the new contract for the new high school building, which phase 1 came in last year, phase 2 came in this year. The cost per phone is significantly higher on that contract. That contract is up in September of this current year, so originally signed in 2022. It will expire in September of 25, so we're actively looking to move to a cheaper solution. But the original contract that was signed is just significantly more expensive per phone than what we're paying now.
Okay, thank you.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay. Enrollment comparison, as I just stated, it looks like we're going to be increasing by 11 students next year, going 15-7 in the district. We're just moving classes, obviously, year to year, totals on the buildings and projecting. Non-lapsing 25 accounts, just a definition on that. That will be another April 1st, you get all of that, all the expenses, what it was used for this year. And then, before we get to capital, you can see the last 2 sheets, the years that we requested in capital for everything paid to date, everything going back over the years. And then if they were completed or incomplete, the status is listed there on both sheets. And I'm going to have John come up and speak to the capital requests moving forward. We would really love to get out of the paving business, because that seems to come on every year. The money was put away 2 years ago, and then I make it very clear, I would hold a teacher before I would pay the parking lot. And, we have Danny and Fran who work with the vendors. They're all over town doing this. They plow our schools, they know our buildings, they work with all of the vendors, and they're more qualified than John Florio in setting up bidding and getting this done. So we would love to partner and have the town take that on. So John, that being said,
Some of the capital improvement projects we requested.
While John's handing that out, I just want to go over, ask something on here, which is on, one of the things on your capital improvement is to replace the lobby floor.
the auditorium lobby floor,
Yeah,
I
this would,
understand that through the permanent project building committee, they've taken on some projects, paving at the high school and fencing, and I think there's rumblings of that floor also being done.
No, there's no rumblings of the lobby floor. We're talking about the sidewalks outside of NBIS.
That also.
But the lobby floor, you were given money for this a number of years ago when you requested $60,000. It didn't get done, and the money was given back to us. And now it's up to $150,000.
Before, it's been up to $150,000 for the past 3 years.
I know, but I'm saying it didn't get fixed when you asked and we allocated the money and the money was given.
Fix the floor for $50,000.
Well, that's the number that was given to us. That's what I'm saying, is that's what was requested.
That was before me.
I'm not blaming, I'm not putting it on anyone. I'm just saying that was the request.
That's fine, but you couldn't fix the floor for $50,000. So, why the number 50,000 went out there to you, I don't know. For the time I've been here, to repair the floor in the lobby has been $150,000.
But when the money was given back to us, it was stated that they would take, the board would take care of fixing the lobby floor.
Is the 60 still there?
No, you gave it back to us. The Board of Ed you gave it back to us when you gave back the money from the high school bathrooms, the lobby floor. There was approximately $200 and some thousand given back when you asked the town to take over the NBIS project and all of the issues that we were having with NBIS.
Those were good
So-
decisions.
so-
We tore the high school down, and we saved, we gave you back $115,000 for the bathrooms, and then the tiles. So those were great decisions.
So, yeah, I'm just saying that the money was allocated at one point and then given back.
The next year, we tore it down.
So, now we're at 3 times the cost
Okay, yep.
of doing it when originally it was asked for 7 years ago,
Why it wasn't
whatever.
done,
I don't know. I mean, it's not, once we give you the money, it's not ours to say why it's not done.
So right now, what I presented to you is one capital request, energy management. The energy management system, we installed automated logic back in the late 90s, 98, 99, all the schools. It was state of the art back then. Their original systems right now are Jerome Harrison, Dakota Valley Auditorium. We cannot integrate new modules to the old systems. We tried over years integrating, and now the systems are all failing. They're becoming obsolete. Energy management's important. It's the quality of the environment in the school. It saves money, it's lighting. Okay? Another thing we have to remember, under the new HVAC air quality laws that goes into effect next year, statewide and federal, if you have an energy management system in your building, it has to be operating correctly. So, Jerome Harrison is about 60% failing right now. We have everything operating on manual. Will not operate on the auditorium. The electric company came in with a lighting upgrade and said, we'll update your energy management system as well. Well, that company now is now out of business. You cannot get parts for the company for the energy management system they put in the auditorium. The veterans in Weathersfield, I contacted them, sorry, we're no longer in that business. That company is obsolete. That system's failing. So Tucker Valley has very minor points. It's a very small system. You see the cost. This is from ABS. ABS is the system that's in our high school and auditorium. And the intermediate school. It's state-of-the-art. Their service is tremendous. Their technology department is tremendous. I can operate both schools from my office. We want to be able to have all schools operating on one system. We had that with automated logic. And when we did the intermediate school over and the high school, we have ABS, which automated logic is getting out of the business. Okay? This is the system we want. This is the price for upgrading those 3 buildings.
Is that who you have at the high school?
ABS.
Okay.
Yes, at the high school and the intermediate school.
Can you go through these quickly?
Yep.
Because we have backup.
Jerome Harrison, $278,000. The auditorium, $188,000. For Tucker Valley, $41,980. That's where I'm gonna come in, take the automated logic systems out and install the ABS system.
John, John,
Yes.
is ABS on the state contractor list?
Are they on the state contract list?
Yes.
I'm sure ABS is, but we need to hold to a single source vendor because we don't want different energy management systems in all our buildings. We want compatibility, one system throughout the district.
I understand that, but we also want to make sure that we're not paying through the nose for something either.
But we do go over there. What we do with Automated Logic is we sign an annual agreement. We go over with them what is provided to us on their annual agreement. They update their programs. They give us so many billable hours of service that come off as we need their technicians. They're a great company to work with. Tom picked them as the vendor for the new high school, so I would just recommend that we put them in the rest of the schools as well. Our other capital improvement is something I brought to the board. I'm sure you heard. Totucket Valley, we've been updating Totucket Valley for years now, trying to bring the school up to a higher quality. Right now, every area in Totucket Valley is air conditioned except for the gymnasium. We put a nearly $300,000 gym floor in, as you know, it was an insurance job. That building builds high humidity, late spring, summer, early fall. We're concerned about the gym floor. We're also concerned about the environment for the students. The heating system there is not the greatest. They're just hung hydronic blowers, which one is totally unrepairable right now. So I walked the school with some vendors and the heating engineer, and we want to put a rooftop unit on the flat roof that's behind the gymnasium. We want to take the hung heating units out, and we want to put a rooftop unit, use the cuts through the wall that are there now for the fresh air grills, bring ductwork in. We'll have air conditioning in the rooftop unit. We'll have our condensers in there. We'll put heating coils in the ductwork. This way we can supply good heating to the gymnasium and we can cool it.
So all of the unit ventilators have been installed at TVS?
There are 6 ventilators that are going in this summer as the final phase.
Okay.
So Totucket Valley will be totally air conditioned if you go along with this. What I'm asking for you tonight is to figure a placeholder. We were supposed to have the numbers by tonight. A lot of the vendors called and apologized. But after doing a walkthrough with the heating engineer and the vendors, one of which is the company that's doing the replacements at Jerome and the auditorium, I calculated $300,000 to do this job. They all agree with me that's a perfect placeholder for that. That job can be done. So what I'm asking is if you do consider that, you could do a placeholder if you like. You can do a not to exceed, whatever you want. If that's the case, you agree to do the job, we'll put it out on the street. But this will be the final piece to Totucket Valley.
Okay. Do you have a 3-year paving plan that we talked about last year? Because we can't keep putting paving off, because that's part of.
As the superintendent said, I want to defer paving to permanent project and public works. Listen, I don't know anything about paving. Public works are the experts in paving. We want to be out of the paving business in the school system. Bring it to permanent project. Permanent project just did the high school. They walked it, they approved it, they're gonna do it. Give Jerome Harrison and Totucket Valley the permanent project. Let them walk it, let them decide with Public Works what they want to do with the parking lot. Same thing with the sidewalk replacement. They already know, and they're already on their radar, a permanent project about the sidewalk at the intermediate school. It was discussed Monday night. They are going to walk it before they close out the intermediate school job. I would defer those 3 projects to permanent project, let them go over it with Public Works. We're not the experts on
I know, but
paving.
we
They
we
are.
need information from you, the schools, to let us know what needs to be done. What are you looking to get
You have the
done?
cost sheets.
I have the cost sheets.
We have the cost sheets.
Yeah. This is the numbers that I got. The number I got from the assistant director. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of copies. I'll give them to you.
You can just give them to the town manager and he can
Okay.
get copies
Just
to
if
us.
you want to know,
They're all
okay?
priced out.
The Totucket Valley, $225,608.
Is that just parking area?
That's the entire parking area,
Okay.
okay?
No playground.
And the sidewalks. And the side, this gym side, not the map side. If you
Okay.
want to do the map side, they'll add it in. Jerome Harrison, $315,379. And they did that in sections. If you look at their map, you'll see exactly what sections they're talking about. If you want to section it off, the colors, whatever. And the high school, which they already had, Herman Project already has that one, 375.
Yeah, we don't need that one because that's
112.
part of the project.
Totucket and Jerome right there. This is from Public Works.
Do you have priorities? Like, of what sections?
They're both bad.
I know, but last year when we had the
But
discussion,
if there's 90,000 sitting right now,
there isn't.
They're both bad. Listen.
Anthony, is it 90?
No, you used that, we used that. We reallocated that 90,000 last year to go towards the HVAC at Jerome.
What I will tell you is they're both bad. Jerome Harrison is the existing paving. It's over 25 years old. I think Tom got this money's worth. Jerome Harrison, the trouble with Jerome Harrison is it creates sinkholes, okay? And teachers come in the morning and next thing you know, there's a sinkhole next to their car or on the way to school. We've had someone at a youth basketball game report, there's a sinkhole in the parking lot. Public Works does a great job of coming and filling them out. We don't know how much more is undermining underneath Jerome Harrison. Okay? Jerome Harrison, the whole site needs to be paved. Totucket Valley, the front alongside the curb of the firehouse side is totally destroyed. The gymnasium side has been dug up multiple times to get rid of islands, to put new lighting in, to put the sewer line in, to take the septic tanks out, and it's only been patched over the years. The entrance has been done in Totucket Valley. The main road coming in, he did that when he upgraded Stanley T. But the rest of the parking lots are shot.
I think there is 90 from 2023 in their paving. It's called TDES and JHS paving.
Yeah, that 90,000, last year we took and they wanted the gym HVAC, so we took the 90,000 from paving to go to the Jerome Harrison HVAC and 50,000 from ARPA funds because the quote was for $140,000.
That's what I was going on, the 90. That was still there.
So that's how we used it last year.
Okay.
When we talked about it, they felt that they wanted, that's why they came up and said that they would do a 3-year paving plan, because they were gonna take.
60, I remember last year went back. I don't remember the 90 before that. I thought that was still sitting there. 60, I remember, we said take it back. I remember that last year. 2 years ago.
60 from what? The only thing was 90 from last year,
No, he was 60 last year.
was the 90. There was only 90 last year, and it was all paving from Jerome from a few years ago. That wasn't, that we switched it over to Jerome Harrison HVAC. That went out. And then we allocated 50,000 ARPA funding to meet the quote. Right, on there.
So John, those numbers were to pave both parking lots. Parking lot would be pretty much paved new, the whole parking lot.
Those numbers were to pave the entire parking lots, both schools.
Thank
The
you.
only thing it didn't include was any asphalt curbing that's needed.
Well, that.
That's significant too, right?
Well,
That's significant, but you'd have to get
Well,
those numbers as well.
isn't there discussion between granite and asphalt? Because granite, I know granite's more
The
expensive, but
granite,
the.
Totucket
less-
Valley already has granite curbing against the building. You're talking against the grass line. The price estimate that we got for the sidewalks at the intermediate school, we requested to continue the granite curbing in the bus loop. Because the concrete curb just keeps breaking up every year. You see how nice it is at the high school. I know they argued they don't want to put it in, but it's fantastic. Totucket Valley, the granite in front of Totucket Valley looks like the day it was put in, it's been hit with plows every year. So granite curbing, we requested on the sidewalk quote to go from the auditorium, continue the granite around the bus loop to the new concrete curb that was installed with the new sidewalk. But the asphalt curbing is anything that's against, the islands or up against any grass area, then Tilcon or any contractor gives you that per foot curbing.
Okay. I know in earlier discussions at board meetings that I was attending, there was discussion about the temporary gym that was over on Totucket Road. What's the status of that?
As
Is
far
it-
as I know, the status of that is closed.
It is. Our stuff is sitting there. There's no expenses. We
So
moved
all the
everything.
gym equipment is still there and it has to be
Sitting there.
moved over to the new school?
We emptied the storage room that had the athletic equipment in it, for the athletic director who had stuff in that room. But as far as the equipment, it's still sitting in the gym.
There's no expense.
That
We're not-
equipment-
We're not renting any storage. We got out of there 2 months ago, and we haven't paid rent there since December.
And the ramp was dismantled and I think Public Works picked it up, right? Yep.
Right, so the gym equipment is coming back to the new high school? I mean, that was my
No,
question.
If it goes anywhere, to get it in storage somewhere. Why would I bring it back?
Well, I thought, because I saw emails that said that new equipment was at the new high school, but it was taken out because of budgetary concerns on there. So they took an inventory of the equipment, and it could be added back in at the end of the project. So
There
I
was 6
didn't.
months wait time to get the new equipment. We got it in December from last year when we had money, which we've explained to you many times. So that's where that came from. So now we're sitting on 40-year-old equipment that's been taken apart and moved 3 times that we have to make a decision what we're gonna do with it. We're not being charged. It's sitting there. Either we'll sell it or sell it to the owner if he wants to buy it for pennies on the dollar because it's not really worth it. It's a $75 million high school. We're not gonna bring 40-year-old equipment back in there. We have the opportunity to do it out of the 25 account and out of the cost savings on the cafeteria. And you know that, and we did that. And now it's fantastic. And it gets used every day.
Well, it didn't come out of the 25 account because the purchase orders came out of your operating budget
General
for last year.
There were
There were
two.
two different
Yeah,
purchases.
there was
So,
two, one
Two.
from the
But-
Fund
but that's-
25 and one from the general fund.
There were two purchases. We got the second one because we got the information on the cost savings from the cafeteria on the end of June. That's when we did that. Same thing with the storage house, that we're still, pushing along to get that done too. So that's where that came from.
so.
So
okay,
that's
just-
still sitting there, no expense to the district.
Right, okay,
All right?
just,
So we have all the old equipment
All the
sitting
old
somewhere.
stuff sitting there.
How much did the new equipment cost?
It was 2 payments. I think it was
108, one was 80 and one was 50, so 130.
130.
Did those go out to bid?
No, because we got them through the police department where they got theirs. So it was on the state bid list, and we used the same vendor and Matrix, the same design person, everything was the same as the police department.
okay, and then I have a question for Sarah Alberti in regards to,
Anybody have any question on capitals?
The turf field I put in there just for your free reading. If that's something you want to entertain, that's how I was told to put it through capital. Baseline, if you wanted to do the field and the scoreboard and the track over, it's around 2 to 2.5 million. So that's for your information. We were asked to get 3 different, I want to thank Dan Celentano for his work in meeting with these vendors numerous times and looking at that and help put that together, so.
Okay, so on transportation, during one of the budget workshops, it was talked about for preschool, and there was a cost estimate given of $168,000 for busing. So do you have to provide busing for pre-K?
We have to provide busing for our students who are identified as having special education needs in preschool.
So that 168,000, is that just for special ed, or is that all pre-K?
That covers all of the preschool. So the vehicles that we currently have, we were able to add the existing preschool students onto it at no additional cost.
Okay, so that figure of 168 is part of the contract, and really, there's no extra cost for the non-special ed.
There's no
Pre-K.
additional cost, correct?
So I was just looking to see if that was just pre-K and we didn't have to provide transportation for pre-K, could that be a cut? That's where that was going.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know.
We're utilizing what we already have in place, and we were just able to encumber the additional students.
Okay,
And we did cap the pre-K
I saw that,
at 87.5,
saw that.
based upon income level of those centers.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you April 1st.
Thank you, board. Do we have a second? Do we have a second for Barbara?
Exactly. Well, that's my.
The budget,
I think.
I don't think we're getting those.
I know.
I thought it was with, what they sent. He said they.
I was like,
Okay,
that's what you're.
I didn't see it go black, but he says when we're back on, and we're back on there, so
Oh, we're
I
back.
guess.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I think you can go.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, I don't have any handouts. I have a PowerPoint presentation.
That's fine.
We like that.
Hopefully, this will be entertaining for you. Carly and I are here tonight to present to you what we consider a pretty straightforward budget, yet effective, maybe a little bit of palate cleanser from the previous session. The library's original total budget request for fiscal year 25-26 of $1,068,000 includes a 6% increase over last year. With the town manager's requested reductions of $20,000, we're now looking at a 4% increase over last year. This budget request represents a continued investment in our efforts to help people learn, thrive, and connect with one another. It supports innovation in our core services to help make North Branford Public Libraries more representative of the community we serve and to help sustain lifelong learning, study, and growth. Our next slide, and this one as well, will highlight some of the things that the library's been doing over the last year. 2024 was a banner year for our libraries. Between both libraries, we had more than 73,000 visitors walk through our front doors. They attended 588 programs. That's both children's and adult programs. These are programs that were coordinated and facilitated by library staff. They use the libraries to study, to play in our children's room, to attend meetings, and to engage with staff. And of course, they also checked out library materials. In total, we circulated more than 92,000 physical items and downloaded 18,000 items from our collections. The library amplifies our contributions to the town with community connections, enticing programs and events, inclusive practices, and staff talent. Our staff are the backbone in the development and implementation of our library's mission, which is inspiring curiosity, advancing literacy, and the pursuit of knowledge and information. For this reason, personnel costs are and they will continue to be the library's largest expense, far beyond our next biggest expense, which is our collection costs, and those are budgeted at $72,000. These are just some of the pictures of the programs and events that we've held over the past year. It's always fun to see yourself up on the screen there.
Yeah, with Bluey.
Salaries and related expenses make up approximately 80% of the library's projected expenditures, and this represents the most significant increase to our budget request. With a recently negotiated contract for our 5 full-time librarians, there is a new wage schedule applied to this budget, one that better represents, or better aligns, I should say, their salary with the market value for their specific positions. I will say, in creating this budget, I think it was important for us to ask what we needed for our funds to go, ask what we needed for our funds to go as far as possible. I think it was important for us to acknowledge the burden that our budget places on the taxpayers in North Branford. And this next statement is important to me. It was important for us to acknowledge and recognize the sizable investment that the town is making in replacing the heating and cooling system at Smith Library. So that went into consideration in this budget. I just think that's important for you guys, for us to know. In making our funds go as far as possible, we are relying on staff talent. Our requested increase focuses on personnel, and there is a 3% salary increase for all of our part-time library workers. Our budget is an embodiment of the library's values, and we recognize it's about people serving other people. Carly likes to coin the term, it's people-powered. Patrons respond to North Branford Public Library staff for their collaborative spirit, their knowledge, and their willingness to help and succeed. And we've been working really hard at identifying staff capacities, positions, and development in order for us to deepen that impact on the community that we are trying to serve. With attention to building maintenance, we are also asking for an increase in the number of janitorial hours for our 2 part-time custodians. With increased traffic and usage, the first half of this fiscal year saw a 2% increase in traffic. I think there was over 36,000 people visited our libraries between July and December 2024. So with the increased traffic and usage and to help maintain the cleanliness of our facilities, we're really asking to devote 19 hours per week per custodian. Our current setup is we have one custodian that works 19 hours per week, and then we have a substitute custodian who will fill in, or he will work per diem as needed. The problem is we're relying on him more and more just because of the amount of people coming through and the amount of programming we are doing. So we were hoping to devote 2 custodians to 19 hours per week, really just to do, more adequate cleaning. So that is a very quick summary of our operating budget. I don't know if there's any questions with that, or if you want to hop into capital improvement. There's one more slide. We have one capital improvement request. And I will say, if I felt like I could put this off, I would have, but unfortunately, the sidewalk at Smith Library is, it's disintegrating. It is original to the building's renovation in 2008, 2009, and this is the current state. I will say there is a cone now in the upper left-hand picture because that has just totally washed away. So we did get some quotes. Danny solicited some quotes from some contractors, and this was the best that we could do in terms of the base, just replacing it with concrete sidewalk and curbing, and then the additional add-on heated sidewalk, and then, as Mr. Florio was speaking, granite curbs would be a wonderful addition, just so that we don't end up in this position.
This is a
15 years from
compliant
now.
safety issue, clearly.
Yes, agreed.
So is the 60,000, does it include those 2 add alternates? That's the total cost?
With
Okay.
the, you said with the add-on, that was a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Which makes sense.
Okay.
Sorry to close out on such a depressing.
From what I
picture.
understand, that area, obviously, we've just refurbished or in the midst of refurbishing the Little Red Schoolhouse. So that area may get more traffic because they're doing more in that kind of village walk area. We also own that piece of land, I found out, that it's on. So this is, kind of natural to that area, kind of beautification of that area, but also client safety issue.
Well, if we're going to be looking at the sidewalks at NBIS, on there, permanent project can have that.
Bundle.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 separate projects, but we could probably bundle
Yeah,
them.
we could, with the purposes of, we have one contractor doing it.
Right,
We could find some kind of economies of scale.
right.
Absolutely.
How did you come up with that cost? You had a quote on it, a couple quotes?
Danny solicited quotes from 3 or 4 companies.
That we looked at.
Little research.
They're on our town bid list.
Unlike our other friends. So just a little research on like other friends. That's good.
Yes.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Oh, concise and well done.
Got you back on track.
Pretty much.
Just one, on one of the previous.
Yes.
How were the utility costs going down?
Where are they going?
Yeah, how are they? How did you manage to get that down?
So Smith Library does not benefit from the solar credit, so we're hoping that when we have a new energy efficient system, and then
Yeah.
with the possible closure of installing a new energy efficient system, that we won't be using as much energy for a while next fiscal year.
Makes sense.
And then
Portable
have water.
heaters.
Yeah, that's what I
Has
kind
the
of thought.
credits.
but-
Yeah.
Are you saving any money this year with the system being down? Or are the temporary stuff
No.
making up for it?
If all this
Yeah,
stuff's low.
no. Unfortunately. Yeah.
It's the only saving grace is it's
Yeah.
Wallingford Electric.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it was UI, it would, just be through the roof.
I wish I could say yes, but it's either off or on.
I heard things.
We saved,
caviar just then, and now you're gonna get the meat and potatoes.
that's right.
I don't think I could beat 10 minutes.
He wants 6 new trucks. He wants, oh wait, I'm sorry, 16.
Well, based on the first presentation, you might have to add to your department by them throwing stuff over. Really? I don't know. Not that it's their choice, their decision. Good.
President, Doug, Anthony,
Yes, sir.
help.
You got a USB?
On the floor is the CPU.
You got it? Do you have a cord? Do you have the? What are you
Yeah,
trying to
thumb
do?
drive?
No, it's just on.
Oh, then bang it out here.
Yeah. Well, take it out right here. HDMI cord.
Yeah.
You got HDMI? Yeah, right there. Yep.
Here. I can do it. No. Do you need to see this?
No.
Perfect.
Okay, so he wants to get rid of that, and he's saying he needs $500,000. Huh? Didn't it? Like, really?
Republican, I pay tax. Don't do that. No.
Updated. Tentative. Did you update it already? Oh, no,
You were here?
do you get into the,
Right, bro?
do you drive from here or you just have it on your,
That's in,
Arches?
oh man, now everybody in town knows your password.
Utah.
yeah, I was the only, I'm trying to think which spot I was at though.
It's pretty wild.
I think I saw you there. I think I just saw you.
He's now on Google Photo. You're now a screensaver.
That was Arches.
Yeah, it's definitely Arches, yeah.
Yeah, you look at.
That's wild.
You look at Google Earth.
Where is it?
It's nice.
Sure?
Gotta go in like this, look more. They say that there's a lot of that all over Google Earth, like, there's pictures of Google, and there's like,
This one?
they know exactly what time to take a picture. Which one? It's the second time you see that. Did you click the next one?
I know.
I bet you, I bet you one of those guys hit it with your shoulder down here.
This one?
Yeah.
Right there?
You're gonna ease her pain.
That was you.
Probably
Used to
could've, yeah.
apples, not used to.
They're still all patty wine.
It's a little better. It's still not even, but it's okay. It's much better
Do
than.
we have any, do we have a level in the budget?
Franny probably has one in his truck. He just delivered.
Just
I guess.
delivered them. I just got them the last weekend. I didn't feel like, I figured you guys had enough people hitting you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's child labor, really, but I don't know how they get away with it. They even do
Are
like
you all
selling-
set?
All set, whenever you guys are ready.
We're waiting for you. The floor is yours.
Alrighty. I'm Dan Salentano, Assistant Public Works Director. Fran Barola with me as well, Director, and Chris, our new town engineer. He's gonna follow it up with the pavement management piece. So,
Oh, he's in charge of paving.
yeah, so we're gonna pass
Scott
the buck right
Scott
to
went to the wrong person.
Yeah. All hands on deck for the pavement. Yeah. So going into our budget presentation here, brief slide as to who we are. We consist of 5 divisions: roads, grounds, building maintenance, fleet, and tree. A couple pictures up there of what we do. Another little slide here of just us getting involved. We, you know, Jerome Harrison, we go see the kids, trunk or treat. We deliver food to the food pantry. We try and get involved where we can.
that guy in the bottom right-hand corner there, I don't know if you recognize him. As the years go on, no one
Is that
doesn't
Justin
know
Bieber?
who I am.
That's Justin Bieber right there?
Was that before
Yeah,
kids?
yeah.
That was before children?
No, that's
That was
Bieber. He was on our staff.
The kid that used to ride a dirt bike by my house.
Yeah, so,
Someone's got to confiscate that.
yeah. Who we support every department and division in town in one way, shape, or form.
Especially that guy.
Onto the fun stuff here, operating budget. So we're currently at a 2.964 million, proposing a 3,010,816, which equates to 1.55% at $46,724. We can't get too excited over this because these numbers do not reflect contractual increases.
I was
union
wondering
contract- Yeah, it should be ratified soon, but it's not.
Okay.
So I would expect that number to at least double, if not a little better, based on the rough calculations we
Put
did.
those red asterisks on there, so that's good.
Yeah, so as much as I'd love it to be that, it's not.
That's it there.
Our operating budget consists of three categories: personnel, contractual services, materials, and supplies. When you see these numbers, an important thing is it costs us a lot of money to do what we do. If we're not spending money, we're not working. We're a construction company with the roads. We're a tree company. We're a landscape company. We're an auto repair shop. So we're spending money. Point blank. Personnel services, 2.147. We're going up to a 2.159 change. I'm not going to go into these numbers too deep because they don't reflect contractual increases, so those will all be updated. Materials and supplies, currently at 427,955, going up to a 447,635, which is a 19,680 increase. Technical supplies, $750. That's our gloves, safety equipment, hard hats. Food went up $500. That's for major snowstorms. Agricultural supplies. This is one of those one-time type increases. We added a load of ball field clay in a year because we always seem to be buying it and it wasn't in the budget, and you'd be surprised how much clay we go through. Construction materials, there's two pieces to this increase. Last year we cut $20,000 out of salt, so we're looking to reappropriate that. That'll probably be an area that we are looking to cut if there's a cut that has to be made. We kind of already talked about that a little bit. And inflation of products, this is your typical, these are your concrete structures, so there's rebar in them, there's the grates on top, this stuff goes up, it's just, there's nothing we could do about it. And then two decreases in the bottom left there, gas and diesel and heating fuel. So next, contractual services, 388,196, increasing to 403,776, 15,580. $6,000 increase in equipment maintenance. This is the line that we buy all of our parts for, from a lawnmower up to an excavator, plow truck. Every corner we take, every piece that rolls into the shop, we're spending money on. These parts are not getting any cheaper. The equipment's aged, and I want to say that was 3 or 5% we threw on there, so. Equipment rental, $150 was the oxygen and propane tank rental, minor increase there. Professional development is your typical couple $100 increase for certifications. $8,900 to other contractual, consisting down below that concrete disposal fee. That's one of those one-time additions to our budget. This is for all your roads. When we roll through a neighborhood and rip out concrete pipe and tops, we need to now pay to dispose of it. Another one-time increase was the vehicle GPS. We made it whole. We added all the vehicles onto it now. We started that 8 or 9 years ago and kind of started with the main vehicles, but so that's a one-time spike. That's off government, state bid, Verizon, and $900 increase to stop bars, I believe that was.
Yes, stop bars.
Yeah. Contractual services continued. I threw this up here as an informational piece. It's kind of on the radar. We always had $14,400 in our operating budget for building maintenance. That's for the Public Works facility. It was then we talked, we had a little bit of history here. All the facility maintenance money came into our budget. So now that 51.4 is library, rec, town hall. I don't know if PD was in there or whatever with that. There's talk that we need to have a roundtable discussion, I believe, about this. We may move this money into a capital style account where it could snowball, because the 51.4, you may spend 40,000 this year, you may spend 60,000 next year if an air handler goes down. And if there's a $10,000 overage because the library's air handler went down, that's for us to find in our budget now, which kind of doesn't make too much sense. If it's in an account where it could snowball, it makes more sense.
So how is this account different than the facilities maintenance that we put in CIP, that we fund, money, $50,000, you spend 35 of it, so the next year, we put 15,000 back so that we have 50,000 in there. How is this account different than what's on the CIP?
Well, that's for major,
Operating.
50,000 major,
Blips.
that's the 51,000 that we had in there. The new one is, right, that's not reflecting the number.
No, we discussed it at finance.
Yeah, this
about
is
different ways
operating.
of looking at it. Do
So
we
This is
consolidate
light
it?
bulbs and light switches, the other one's capital, air handler, big stuff. I mean,
So, yeah, so
Oh,
again, this is the first year
Should all
doing
be
this, so. it's
So
gonna
this
be-
is a discussion during budget time? As to, has this happened in our budget? I mean, we haven't seen our budget yet, so I don't know. Is this
think it's in.
happening?
No, it's
No.
still individually budgeted, like
Right.
Lauren has a piece budgeted and everybody has a piece budgeted. So the decision has to be made at a council level. Do we want to consolidate them, as Danny said, into, forget these little small pots,
Being that they're gonna be doing the work.
do a big pot into the facility maintenance, townwide facility maintenance reserve, let it sit there, let it accumulate for these projects. I think you can consolidate all these little small ones and kind of make life a little easier to manage.
Right.
Again, it's kind of goes back to Danny's question though. If the library goes over because they have major problems, who's going to fund the difference? It's now living in Danny's budget, Danny and Fran's budget. Is it up for them to eat it, or do they go back to the library to eat it? So that.
If it were a capital piece though, wouldn't that go out of capital? Like, for instance, I think you mentioned air handler, so
Right.
if an air handler went down, it wouldn't come out of, I don't think it would come out of that account.
right,
It would come
that's
out
what-
of capital account.
Right, that townwide facility, the capital one.
Right.
But the
Right.
same logic applies. Who's gonna feed, are you gonna feed it at a council level? And
Well,
get
that's what we
everybody out?
have been doing on that
For
one,
50,
right?
right. Do you wanna, the talk we had preliminarily was, okay, instead of doing 50 that you've done historically, do you make that 100 and then kill it out of Lauren's and Carrie's and everybody else's department, have it all funneled into one? And eliminate all these small pots.
But,
I think you're talking two different things.
yeah,
aren't
you're talking capital. You sound like you're talking more the,
Expense.
Operating.
the everyday smaller items.
Yeah,
That,
It's kind of looking at everything all together. It's all one, it's all
So-
one pot.
Yeah.
so now I mean, that's fine if that's the
Well,
discussion,
the
but then
the
it,
downside, like I said, the downside Danny's facing now is, okay, let's say it's the library that blows a rooftop unit or something. Now it's living in his budget, and he's gonna have to move money from professional development, let's say, or something to cover an overage, unless we put it all into the capital and then get it out of everybody's operating budget altogether and just,
but for.
there's different forks in the road which we wanna go. We
So
wanna-
facilities maintenance, do you want that to be a non-recurring, an account that the money just stays in there from
Right.
year to year?
Right.
Yes.
Whereas right now, in the budgets, it does
It
not.
lapses June 30.
Correct.
Correct.
So you're proposing to move the money out of the individual department budgets.
Right.
Put it into a non-lapsing account.
Correct.
I think we have to ask, we need to ask the question among, to ourselves maybe, or amongst us, is there a value of having maintenance in each of the different departments
Right.
so that we understand what the maintenance is or what the total cost is
Right, I
of
mean,
each building?
we
Because
have
there is that
we have the
aspect,
means
too.
to do through the account number structure. We have the means to identify if it's recreation, if it's library, if it's ambulance, if it's town, whatever it is. We have the means through the account number to break it up. But it becomes, from a public works perspective, they're doing the whole gig. So in order for them to have a piece of, 5 different accounts, it doesn't make any sense.
But if it's in a non-lapsing account,
Right.
I don't think it should be public work. If you're putting all of these departments into one, I don't think it should be in their department
Right.
that they are now responsible to make up the difference
Right.
on the other
If we
departments.
do it as a capital basis, it'll be in the CIP. It won't be in their operating budget.
See, so it's gotta be its own account,
Yeah.
because we have to be able to see what's left in that account for maintenance. A maintenance account that's in whatever CIP or whatever it is, but, because if you put it in a big pot of CIP, you can't get that number saying, building maintenance is at,
Yeah, no, I agree
100,000.
with you.
You
You need
can't
to
pull
be
it
able
out.
to track it.
So if it's in the big pot, the way the account would go is whatever got done at the library, let's just say, seeing they're there eating caviar. Their account, it would hit the account. So we would know that we spent 50,000 or 10,000 in library this year, the same thing with, so every building would have their own account, even though there's no money in it. It's gonna show a negative. Because you're pulling
You
out
almost
of a
like-
pot of money and going into the.
Give every building a company code, or a whatever.
Well, you can do it by the
building code is.
department, and there's a sub-department code. So it would all be in the capital plan, so let's say
Right.
3619 is the plan. And then you'd have, in the sub-department, you'd have library, public works, town hall,
Yeah.
all the various pieces that they would be maintaining.
Managing it from one area versus.
Right.
But
So
it takes
we'd
it
be
out of the
paying-
operating and makes it one capital number through you guys.
So we'd be paying out of the pot, so we
Right.
could pay the bills, and then, I think I'm saying this right, just tell me if I'm wrong, but then we'd be putting into the library, whatever the cost was for whatever it got done.
Right.
But we'd identify it through the account number. We'd
Correct.
break out the
I
expenditure.
mean,
say
it
this
wouldn't
is-
be, what I'm saying, there wouldn't be a number in the library for maintenance.
No,
Correct,
It'd be, the money's all.
it'll all be in the capital.
You
Right.
just showed what we spent down here.
So
correct.
Anthony, who would have access to this account
Public Works.
only?
Well, the departments, that's an interesting question, because part of the
You
problem.
get too many hands in the pot,
Right.
and money starts going
Right.
every, I
Right.
think the controls should be put in place so that it's very defined and very
Right.
limited as to who has access to it. If we
And that's,
decide
that's,
to.
we've done that kind of with vehicle maintenance as well in the current year. We're kind of steering things, we had the Forest Road shuffle, we'd have papers
Yes.
going up and down Forest Road, sending it up, to get approved, everything's electronic now. And because Kenny Ash is doing a lot of the smaller repairs, let's say, it all handles through Public Works. He doesn't have to get a bill signed off by Lauren if he fixes a doorknob at the library or Carrie at the public, it's all handled by Public Works.
I would suggest that the departments have a little bit of money in a maintenance account for incidentals, I'm gonna say, like cleaning supplies. Would that come out of that?
No.
Well, they have cleaning supply accounts.
So, but
So they
gym
have money
equipment at the
there
rec,
to do little stuff on their own. And then all the repair stuff is gonna come out of the big.
So, is there a benefit, or does this change how we handle capital? Like,
No, it just changes the number, changes from 50 to 100, that you want to put in there at a bigger pot level, at a capital level.
okay, so, but does this change the expense portion? Like, if we're fixing, I don't know, making something up, we're fixing a door handle for a few $100s, or we're replacing a door, or something, I'm trying to think of something that's not capital, I don't know.
Well, all the little repairs that you're talking about are not capital.
Okay, so
If
any
we-
of
Those are operating,
So,
those
so
day to
any
day.
of those, is it all one pool now, or are we still gonna have an expense account and a capital account? And if so, is there
A threshold.
not a threshold, but is there a value to it? I know that in the private sector, there's a
Right.
value to this.
Right.
You don't want your capital expense, you don't want a capital expense in your normal everyday expenses, then it hits the P&L.
Right.
I don't know on the town side, how that affects.
Well, it would be an expense. It
Yeah.
would be an expense in the capital project fund that we would create, the capital maintenance reserve that you would fund annually. It would be a separate fund on our books that Fran and Public Works and Jerry would have access to, and see the numbers going in there, what the balance is. They know if a project comes up that they have to do a major project. So I guess the fine line we have to fine tune is, are we gonna put all the maintenance money in there? Or just 100 for the capital and leave them a small piece, if you wanna leave a small piece, if Laura wants to buy flowers for the library, let's say. That would be a facility maintenance.
What happens when you stay?
So, I mean, honestly, I mean, you know, going back to capital.
Yeah.
So the department still is their building. So let's say the library needed a roof. That roof wouldn't be coming out of that account.
No.
That's a capital expense.
Right.
That's a major project, paving the parking lots, major. That's all major stuff. You know, the air, I'd go as far as, you know, air handlers and stuff that would come out of that maintenance account. You know, because it's something that, you know.
Day to
that we
day.
do, huh?
Yeah,
It's
day
a
to day.
day-to-day.
It went down and we need to get them back up and
Would this
running.
make things easier for you guys? Because I'm trying to gauge whether
It
you
makes
could-
it easier for, well, it's more work on my secretary, but it does make it easier, because like Anthony says, everything's going back and forth. They're getting bills to sign off. I gotta sign off bills, and then they go down there to get paid.
For a
Now,
job.
For stuff like, you know, as simple as bolts and nuts or tape.
So what would you guys say would be a threshold that would determine whether a project fell into this category or was large enough to be brought up?
I would say if you got to the bid threshold, that it would be a capital.
10 grand?
Yeah,
I think ours was 15, but
yeah.
Well, I mean, in general,
Yeah.
like $10,000-15,000.
yeah.
It's-
We just
you know,
bought a furnace for
we gotta put-
12,000, you know, it's a
We gotta do a
common.
furnace for the old police station.
So you're
You
just
know,
eliminating.
we're talking, the whole thing is under 10,000, we're doing it, we're gonna take it out of the maintenance account.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
Yep.
What you're saying is you just want to eliminate the paperwork that goes back and forth between the departments. So if you're fixing a doorknob at one of the libraries, are you billing them?
Well,
And
they
then
gotta pay the
she's
bill.
signing off on the bill, and it has to come back to Anthony, he's got to reimburse you.
No.
No.
It charges, right now, he charges her account.
I charge her account, but so we get the bill, I sign off on it, it goes over to Lauren to make paperwork, to send it down to the town hall to pay the bill. You know, so we're eliminating the department head, because it's stuff like, you know, when Kenny's out,
But that
Buying-
doorknob is in her, she has to account for that doorknob in her budget.
it's gonna.
Currently,
No.
Yeah.
not in the new world.
Not in the.
So
new
this
one.
would eliminate all of it.
Yeah, but that doorknob's gonna go to their account. So when we
He's still gonna
look at it,
classify
it's
it
sub-
saying
there's
there's
sub-account.
doorknob. You know, it saves a lot of, because, again, if you ever saw the bills, I mean,
So you're
it's,
just eliminating, basically you're just eliminating.
We're streamlining
all-
things.
You're eliminating the bill. It's just paper.
it's stuff going back and forth.
But it's not electronic.
Yeah, so,
I approve all the
Well, no,
purchases,
because they
everything that
still-
Kenny does, or any of the mechanics do, or anything, all those bills come into our office. Jerry gets them all set up, I check them, I sign off on them, and they go right down to pay, they get paid.
so in a nutshell,
Electronically.
But to determine the amount that goes into this account,
Couldn't tell you.
would you go into their regular budgets now and say, okay, they now have 10, this Park Rec has 25,000, library has 10,000. You take that out of there and that's what goes into that account?
I think that's that 51.4 that you're looking at. I want to say
So
we
you
left a
took
little
that
bit
all
of money
out
in
of-
there.
It has not been done yet,
I know,
but
but
that's
that's,
theoretically the game plan.
Well, it is in our budget.
Yeah. So
The
we've got
51.4
double budgeted,
is
basically.
there, but
If
Right.
he's got the 51 in his,
It is.
and they have the pieces in theirs, then it's double counted currently.
okay,
it's
but
in the G.
But in,
That's in our
so
budget.
if we did this and had just one account, would,
Yeah.
it's, Franny knows that library starts with 10,000, Park Rec starts with 25,000,
No,
so,
it'd all be one happy
No.
account.
so if library just keeps spending and go over the 10,000, because, oh, well, there's money in the pot, let's just keep going.
Well, they're not
on
gonna,
here.
they're not gonna have access to it.
Well, if they, if,
Somebody has to have some oversight.
Yeah,
Well, they're
I
gonna
mean,
have,
they-
they're gonna have a little bit of money in their budget for buying a new blind, I think, or a flower.
right, but they know how much is in their budget now, that's what I'm saying. So if they have 10,000 in their budget now, you take it out and put it in here, so they don't know how much they spend, because they just say, keep spending, keep spending, keep
It's-
spending.
it's a
They
town-wide
won't be-
budget now.
They won't be taking money out of that, they can't get
They
into it.
can't.
It's gonna be
I know
ours.
they're not, but they're gonna tell you, I need this, I need this, I need this, and you keep doing it, and all of a sudden you're over their
No,
10,000.
So we'll put parameters in place and they'll have to
Oh,
request.
okay, that's what I wanted to
You
hear.
know,
That's what I wanted to know.
If we're not
If-
touching it,
no, we're not touching
they're not, they're,
Yeah.
we're not.
Just taking it out, but they still.
Sorry, Lauren, you just happen to be sitting there.
Yeah.
And we'll switch it to Park Rec, okay?
Because right now, how would it work?
That would just, so, I'm sorry, the maintenance includes the library,
Park and Rec, and what else? All town buildings.
Ambulance.
All
Ambulance, different fund, police.
Town hall.
Police, town hall,
All
food
those
pantry.
Crazy buildings
Food
around town,
pantry,
the old senior center.
the
Reynolds
TV
Beers.
station down there, anything that's.
So anything that's in their region's budget would go into that fund, in all these departments.
Right. Lauren's got 11,000 budgeted currently.
And guys, does this, I know this was brought up earlier, but I wasn't clear, it doesn't look like it's included, but that other maintenance fund that we created several years ago is still remains separate from this, or it all combines?
That we have to determine.
I
Well,
believe
that's in
I would
the
combine
CIP,
them.
this is in their operating, so that, there's two different accounts.
No, I know, but that's what I'm asking them, though.
We-
Do
I
they
would say-
combine both into the CIP, or leave them
I
separate?
would think so, because that's doing the same thing.
Well,
It's the same. It's-
they want a non-lapsing account, so you have to put it into the CIP.
Right.
So
Right,
that,
but do we combine my question is, do we combine the other money with it,
Right,
or do we leave them separate?
that's what
That's what
he,
we're trying to figure out.
That's what we're
I
trying to
think
figure
we
out.
combined them.
And would it make sense, or what's everybody's feelings on leaving, and I'm just throwing out a completely arbitrary number, but say $1,500 to each department, just for those incidentals that we're talking about?
yeah,
And that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
Leaving
I mean,
some-
that's-
some
And then
money-
that 1,500 from each department, whatever that totals, gets deducted from the 51.
I mean, if they needed whatever, at the hardware store, a bolt or something, they could go down and get one, they got money
Yeah,
there
I'm
to
just-
pay for it.
You're
I
not
don't even know
hanging
what
hanging a
1,500
picture on the wall or.
We're not gonna go down and
Accurate or whatever,
get
but-
supplies for them and drop them off, then we've got another service going.
So,
Right.
but right now, Anthony,
Will be Amazon.
if a department is $11,000
Right.
currently in their maintenance,
Yep.
and they spent $12,000, well, wouldn't there be wouldn't we have to do
A transfer.
a transfer? So how will it work is when it's in one lump sum?
That's the dilemma that Danny's talking about. You know, if she goes over to, right now she's at 11, she spends 12,000, she's gotta find 1,000 somewhere else, right? In the new world, it's not segregated by, it's gonna be one number. So if she blows up an air conditioning or something big, and Danny's gotta fix it, and the pot has no money, that's living in Danny's operating budget now, he's gotta eat it. The small piece, let's call it the capital maintenance and the building maintenance.
Yeah.
The building maintenance is gonna be what you fund currently through the operating budget, smaller stuff. Right now, in the proposed way of life, if she blows an air conditioning and it's all living in Danny's budget, Danny and Fran's budget, and something big happens, they gotta move money internally. Other
Public Works,
contractual,
right.
Public Works.
Come from salt
The
or
bottom line is,
fuel
the
or.
first year, we're
It's gonna be
going in
at-
there blind.
Couple years of getting
To your point, that her account is gonna show that we spent, instead of 11,000, we spent 20,000. You know, we're gonna come back to you and show, we're gonna balance the books at the end of the year.
But Anthony,
Don't we have to be careful though, as your example is, if they blew up an air conditioner,
Right.
that's probably a capital piece, right?
Right.
And that's
Bad
probably gonna
example,
get
yeah.
depreciated. So wouldn't that come out of a different account? Or it's gotta be handled
We'd be
differently
coming,
anyway.
we'd be
Yeah.
coming to you to propose that we need money to fix the air conditioner.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, if it only needs a fan in the thing, it's a different story.
Yeah, no, I
But if
get
you're
that,
talking about
yeah.
doing a complete air conditioning system, that's a capital project.
Right.
That's over
Yeah,
our
that's what you were saying
threshold.
before, yeah.
But you're gonna have, even if it happened
Yes.
to her now and she got a
The big
$20,000
threshold
bill,
is a good
we're gonna come to you
parameter.
guys because they gotta do transfers out of their budget. And it's gonna show because when we pay for it, it's gonna show down here that they're negative, whatever.
So Anthony, when they, or all you guys, I guess, when you complete a job like that, do you attach like a department code to it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the new way, it's gonna be in the Public Works Department, and then in the munis account string, there's a sub-department number.
Right.
So it would be living in Public Works, but it would be in Lauren's expense. So if anybody looked at it, you could say, run a report to show all the maintenance that they did. And they
So
would
you
say,
can,
you can segregate it out by the
so
person.
you can see where they are in reference to their $11,000 or $12,000 or whatever it is.
Right.
So
Right.
you
But again, remember now, if all goes as planned, this 11 goes away.
so
It's only be
it's,
one number you're gonna put in.
right,
Her 11 gets evaporated out of her budget.
we're not designating so much per,
I gotta be honest, I'm all for making it easier on you guys, but it seems muddied and I
To me, I think you would have to have one number, and then sub-accounts saying 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, whatever it is. Still handled the way you want to handle it.
Right.
Because you still have to have a control on it for
Yeah.
each of the. in my view, I don't know.
No, I agree 100%, because the other thing you gotta worry about, and Mike would deal with this more than anybody here, is, you know, how come library always gets everything they want? They used to only get 11,000, they're, you know, spending this much this year and everything else, and
They're not
That's
spending
gonna happen no
anything.
matter what.
That's the caviar that Franny was talking about before.
But there has to be, to Tommy's point, there has to, in order for that to work, in my mind, there has to be a control there. You have to hold them true to their numbers still somehow.
Well, we will oversee the account. I mean, in a nutshell, it seems like the way we're going, there's gonna be a $100,000 maintenance fund. And we will be up here next year saying we spent $37,000. 11 went to rec, 12 went to library, blah, 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 blah. We're looking for 37 to replenish it back up to 100. The number may fluctuate every year. There's things like an $800 can of Freon that it doesn't go right to the library. It gets used at 3 different buildings. And wire nuts and.
Honestly, the maintenance account, it's a fictitious number. You could say 11,000 this year, or you could say 12,000 next year.
Because if something happens and they need.
They know how much money they spent, but that's a variable.
There's no real number. Whatever it is, like a house, you don't know what your house is gonna cost.
Snake and bathroom
I mean,
pipes.
it's
and-
toilets, I mean, it's everything. You're never gonna say, okay, you got 11,000, you're done. You know, you're gonna see.
No, we don't do that now,
numbers.
but we don't do that now. We just, Anthony finds another bucket of money.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that, is that we have to be, that it doesn't sit in Public Works, and if it goes over, that they're liable to make up the difference. I think that's the biggest issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it has to be a non-lapsing account. So in my mind, it can't sit in an operating budget someplace, because those all lapse as of June 30th. So we have to move it over to CIP.
It'd be a transfer out to the capital project fund, to the maintenance reserve.
At the end of the year.
So the question is, do you want to have a capital maintenance reserve and a regular maintenance reserve, or you want to have it as one? That's the only thing we got to determine.
I think
I
one,
think it all
because
goes to
it's
one.
operating, this is day-to-day stuff. I mean, you could have an electrical issue in here today that's $8,000, it's not, is it capital, is it operating?
Yeah.
Capital is, we want to put new carpet in here, you know, so we got it, that's the capital process.
That's a request. You
Yeah.
want your place painted, you gotta request it.
Yeah, we're not,
You want carpet, you gotta request it.
Okay, and all the requests would come to you guys.
well, that's not coming out of the maintenance fund, so that'd be through the budget
Through the
process.
department.
Yeah.
We would manage the project and probably get all the prices too, but that's gonna be capital request that you're gonna approve or disapprove of.
Oh, okay,
Like the
Yeah.
tennis courts.
Right.
Are, you know what I'm saying?
right,
You're recoding them, that's a capital request.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Anthony, if we did this would be in line with GAAP?
Yeah, I checked with the auditor too, because basically there's no, as long as you account for the expenses properly, how internally how we do it, basically just our own way of trying to simplify things, it does comply with GAAP standards, yeah.
No, maybe we should try it.
We could try it.
See-
You gotta give it a year.
Yeah, see
If
if
you're
it
1
works.
year earlier, but we may be sitting here next year saying, oh, that ain't working.
Or you may not spend as much money, it's all in place.
We got a library full of flowers, but.
Yeah,
It smells like a funeral parlor in there.
yeah.
Flowers and caviar.
I will say just one quick point to Bruce's point. You know, in my budget, I have some preventive maintenance items, like for the elevator, for the lift, for the septic pump outs. That's included. That's the maintenance stuff that we can, you know, predict. So we have those numbers in there. And then that 11,000 handles all the other public works stuff that breaks, whether it's a toilet, whether it's a door handle. So that 11,000 is the, something's broken, or
Right.
we need to do something. There is another chunk of money
Right.
in there that we can anticipate those costs.
Right, to your point, Ron, there are some things left behind,
Right, right.
like whether they have, let's say, pest control.
Right,
You don't need to go through Fran for pest control.
right, and that's to Franny's point too, where he's, you know, it's, like you said, kind of a fictitious number, because it's, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen.
So the other elephant is that like, even like the old town hall, the TV station, there's no maintenance budget there. You know, we're using the money out of our $50,000 account to do repairs there. It's the same thing as the food bank now. There's no money, there's no maintenance account money there.
Well, we actually are putting the rent, it's supposed to be that the rent from those two facilities go into a separate account, that we can use that money for maintenance.
Taking care of themselves, basically.
That was the,
Well-
that's the idea.
Yeah, they take care of
It
themselves.
goes as far as even the farm. You know, maybe not the house at this point, but anything on the farm, anything, you know, that, anything.
The rent from the land, do we get much? I don't know, I don't know where that goes. The
General
lease.
fund.
Think
So-
of the new police department, there's gonna be maintenance there, that's not going away. I mean, that's a major building, believe it or not.
Yeah, well, hopefully in
Even though
the,
it's new, it's, you can't believe the stuff that comes in, it's crazy. I mean, it's a lot, I don't know how Kenny does it, to be honest with you, but.
Yeah, it is a
He's
lot.
all over the place. Flag poles, I mean, it's crazy. Little League, maybe that, you know, Little League, the concession stand, some of that's ours. Wells, irrigation.
okay.
Where is that?
What?
The concession stand, is that at the?
At Wall Field. The one with the,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so, what else do you have?
On the capital.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So we are in at $608,000. This number is a little higher than we usually try and stay at around 500, but we put the roadside mower in that got cut from last year, so. Replace truck 25, lease payment 3 of 3, that we are essentially married to. We finally just received that truck this fall with no plow on it. We had to put a 1988 plow on it because that was on back order. So it just shows you that when you order a truck, it does take 3 years. We order it today, it's 3 years out by the time we receive it. Truck 46, I'll get to that on the next slide. Same with the next truck, the roadside mower. Small.
Hang on, so the first one, which is just one payment left?
Yep, that's the last payment we're making this year.
And that's the truck we just got?
Yes, we just received it in the fall.
So that's,
It's a 1992 truck?
No,
That's the one they got rid of.
that's the one we got rid of.
Oh.
We retired the 92.
Okay. I was like,
So,
Those take a long time to make.
yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, my first plow truck was 7 years older than me. I love that. Pretty cool. So small equipment reserve, that's the $25,000 annual reserve there that we replenish. We use it. We just spent $12,000 on a compressor that went down in the shop for the air tool, so we use it. Cameras at the DPW yard, this is in at $35,000. This is a quote we obtained, but talking with Dennis and using our in-house labor, we're probably gonna purchase a system ourselves and install it ourselves. So you're looking at less than a third of that will be the actual number. We are in need of that. Most other town buildings have cameras. We're actually already on the second cycle we're moving to on the other buildings, so.
So would these cameras be compatible to the police station? I mean, is it
That number, yes, but the ones that we're actually gonna go with, no.
compatible that they can see them and stuff? I mean,
Would it have an NVR attached to it? A DVR, NVR?
I believe so, yeah.
How many cameras, do you know?
Oh, I thought it was at 31.
That's about right.
Yeah, that's, inside all the garages, the exterior.
So it's monitored by Public Works?
This would be
Separate,
monitored.
it's not part of the,
it's not part of PD.
PD, no, we're gonna do our own
Originally,
system.
that was the plan, we brought a conduit in, but that's not what's happening.
So you're gonna be on your separate,
We're gonna be on our own.
on your own, so if something's happening over at DPW, the police department cannot see it like they
Well,
do.
they should be able to.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
No, they'd be able to.
Or maybe
So these are IP cameras or not, or digital?
Probably better off.
Well,
Dennis
for
has
35, for what you're talking about, for 35 grand, hold on, these are definitely IP, which includes an NVR. And you're talking about 31 cameras approximately?
Yes.
Right, so the cameras that are out on the POCO ground presently, you should be, if they're, because they're IP, you should be able to include in your, in the.
Well, that's what the PD has, what's on.
Right,
So it depends on the system, but if the PD wants to actually monitor them, they'll be able to.
But we're not going with the
They're not
proposed
going with
Doesn't
system.
make, doesn't make a difference. You'll still be able to monitor them, either through the app or through the web.
Wouldn't we want it where you are connected to the police station though?
Well, they can monitor them, they don't want to be on the same system. You don't want to be on the same
What the original plan was, we were gonna tie in, because they have all the base and everything.
Yeah.
So all we needed was cameras, we were gonna set our thing up there, and they were gonna just run it, they were our host.
When they,
And then
Depends
we
on
would
what their
have our
capacity
cameras
is.
That was the original plan way back then.
Jimmy felt that,
that would
So
have
now
made
we-
more, that would have made more sense that way.
We're down to, Dennis has all the information. I mean, he's the one, he's in charge of it, so he's the one who told us what we were, pretty much doing. So he has the kit, the wire, the cameras and all the, it's a kit. I'm not a camera expert,
You already purchased it?
No, we didn't purchase anything.
But I think you should look to see if there's a
Yeah.
benefit to tie it in. I mean,
I think it should
it's
be
a
tied in.
one-time charge.
Right.
That part's a one-time charge.
The other thing,
No, that's not,
And it's right
The
right
other
across
thing,
the
too,
street,
is
the police
before you
station's
guys
right
do
there, they're
anything,
watching it.
give me a call,
doesn't work that way.
because there's different, a lot of the Chinese cameras now are being, they're not approved for government work. So
Change it.
if you're going for a
So
cheap,
the police
if you're
department
going
went
for a
with
cheap
Dawa. I
camera.
believe they're on Dawa. I think they're on Dawa, right? Which has been purchased by a company called Luminous, which is out of California. So they're no longer Dawa. So they're actually approved to be, it's the same equipment, but it's approved to sit there and be used in the United States. So it depends on what you want.
Yeah, you guys.
Sorry, guys, you're talking to an expert here, so,
Yeah.
I'll talk to you when we see it.
Dennis would be the guy to talk to.
Right.
Yeah, Dennis has gotta be.
You know, if it comes in a kit, the wire doesn't come with the kit, not with 35
Yeah.
cameras.
I don't know about you guys, but as a council, I think they should be connected to the police station.
So do I.
So do I.
They'll be able to monitor it
I don't
and
like
not
the
be
way
on
that.
the same
Yeah, they're
system.
right across the street, I mean.
Well, every time we rely on cameras over there at the DPW for anything that's going on over there, now you're gonna try to change things up a little bit and go a different way. I don't think.
No, I think we have to look at it and,
55-inch or 75-inch monitor that's sitting in your 911 center, so they can actually monitor the DPW.
The cameras you
We
guys
have
have now are
cameras all
connected to the
over, I
PD
see
or no?
everywhere.
We don't have cameras.
You don't have any?
So-
No, we have nothing.
yeah, I think before we commit to anything, we need to get everyone in a room and, talk about this and,
Especially if you have the conduit already laid, right? You already have stuff.
right, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like already like.
It's already, the ultimate setup is there.
Probably should get it.
So,
You're probably right.
moving on here, this is a cut and paste from last year's slide. Why are we asking for a new mower? Parts are getting harder to obtain, obviously, more frequent repairs. We currently have two mowers, a 1999 over the guardrail and a 1986 side fail. We're looking to replace that 1986. It has many issues that I'm not going to dig into. New mower, obviously, on the left there, a lot safer, has a cab. You'd be surprised, you bump a skinny dead tree, there's a branch coming down at you, bee's nest, you name it. The telephone people leaving the wires on the side of the road. So that's why we're asking for a new mower. That was in, I think, $160-something thousand. Next slide. So why are we asking to replace our trucks? This is the first vehicle we are asking for. So we're looking to consolidate two trucks into one here. We're trying to save where we could, and we understand the budget constraints that we're up against there. So we have a 1988 Mack, still in service. Parts are hard to obtain, frequent repairs. And then we have a 2005 Ford F-650 that is a hook truck that hooks the attachments up onto it. So we're looking to consolidate two into one. We're gonna buy one cabin chassis for $167,000. Take that equipment off the 2005, which is actually a 2016 when the equipment was put on, and put it on the new truck. So we're gonna send two trucks out, bring one in, and use the existing equipment. So you're at $167,000 opposed to $330,000.
Very creative.
This one does make sense in multiple angles.
Good job, Fran.
Yeah, we tried.
So, just a FYI, so this winter, we lost 2 trucks
Yeah.
that are off the road. There's split frames, they're 1988 and 19 whatever. The town got their use out of them, unfortunately they cracked, so we were short-handed, we actually went to the state and bought a used truck just to get us through this winter. So now we have another big truck in there, plus what we're asking for is this other truck at $167,000, because we have to make up 2.
And how quickly can you get that truck?
3 years.
This one's a little,
It's a little easier to get that one.
It's not
Yes.
3 years?
no.
Okay.
This is a Ford
The other one.
F-750. The other one will be 3 years. That's what we're gonna get on the next slide, yeah, so.
And what would the lifespan be of that, roughly?
So
The way we're going, we're.
Yeah, I
4
mean,
years.
right now, we're 38 years.
What should the lifespan be?
You'll be 41 years by the time the new truck comes in. But these new trucks with the emissions and the way things are made nowadays, I don't think we're gonna get 40 years out of a truck. You see it with the fire trucks. Things aren't built like they used to, you
No.
know?
Refrigerator. From 20 years ago, it's still in my basement, but I've gone through 2 brand new ones in the past 10 years.
Yeah, and it's the
Like,
same
it's just
thing
not
with
built
these
like that
trucks.
anymore. You don't get that
You
longevity.
can't fix it.
No,
Fix it.
there's too much electronics to it, but they're built like crap.
Anthony, I gotta give credit to on this one too. We did a lot of work up at Public Works with our wetting system for the winter. I mean, we did all our stuff through the state, which saved, it was pennies what we paid for all those tanks, 25 tanks. The big tanks that we have on the side of our building, we paid $50 a piece for each one. Each one of those tanks is probably between 25 and 30,000 a piece. Plus the pumping system. You know, we bought tractors, we bought another
Taylor.
loader for $50 that is operational, and we're using it as a backup now. You know, so my point is, we're trying to be as creative as we can with the state side. We've got some really good deals out of there. Matter of fact, one of
Great
those
that some
moments was
departments are
$50
doing that.
piece, but, you know.
What's a hook truck?
The what?
You mentioned.
It's like a dumpster can truck, it has a hook on it.
Oh,
You hook the tree box
yeah,
on,
yeah.
chip box.
The Ferrari.
So now we're gonna hook a sander on in the winter, you know.
Maybe we could sell the
Yeah.
old blower to Cliff.
There you go.
It's a multi-use
Use
truck.
it
So
as tractors.
this next slide, this is the new truck we're also requesting. Pretty much Fran just summed up this whole slide. This is the one with the cracked frame and parts are obsolete and they're parked out behind the salt barn in the Poco field right now. You know, it's a lot to ask for, but it's where we're at. You know, we have 11 large plow trucks for 10 routes, so we only have 1 spare, and that spare is out almost every storm. It's out. So that's where we're at truck-wise. We put this up here as an example. There's been a lot of talk about trying to foresee the future with replacements and how much they're gonna cost. So an example of a sinking fund, we just received truck 42. It costed us $330,000, has a 25-year lifespan. Assuming a 2% increase per year, it's gonna cost us $495,000 to replace 25 years from now. Starting today, if we put $19,800 in an account, the money will be sitting there waiting for that new truck. Now, if we do this formula times our 16 heavy duty, 15 light duty, 12 heavy duty pieces of equipment, I'd be scared to see the number, but if we want a plan in place, maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe we'll need $500,000 a year and we'll say, well, we're spending $500,000 a year anyway, so let's make a plan and let's fund it. I found this off a bigger town. They had a whole plan in place and, you know, sinking fund every year.
Makes sense. It's something we have to start to adopt, and it just has to be done.
I'd love to do it and see what the number is,
Years ago,
you know.
way back when I first started, we used to pay cash for all the trucks. We paid for them.
You're not gonna do that now likely, because
You got the
trucks are, I mean, the inflation rate, you know, it's just.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
They're
back
probably
then,
fits,
they
but-
they were expensive back then, but we had a plan in place, we had a 5-year plan in
Yeah,
place,
but
and we
even if
rolled
you-
with it, and we paid for our trucks when they came
Take
in.
25 to 50% of it and have it already there, it's just not such a blow.
We started the lease because you can't afford the 2 trucks, that's why we did it through
Yeah.
year. And it works out, because by the time we get the truck, we have 2 payments already
Yeah.
done.
You're almost doing it in that
So then,
fashion.
like this one, we got 1 payment left for the 3rd year.
and we may already be spending it anyways. We're coming in at 600,000. Last year, I think was 5 change.
Is that leasing or is that financing?
So you have one truck that's
It's
coming
financing
off
because we
lease.
get it every
Yeah, I mean,
year.
if you get it, yeah, that's not leasing, that's financing, right, Fran? I mean, you're not leasing it, they call it that, but
It's a lease for
financing.
lease to own.
It's a lease to own. Yeah, it's like rent a center for towns or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, you don't, can't hand it back and go, you know, yeah, we get the
Yeah,
problem.
we'll trade this one in and give us a new one.
Give me the newest TV. All right.
All right.
Good job, guys.
We're gonna let the new town engineers.
Guys, one quick question. If we had to choose between those two trucks and only give you one, which one would you prioritize?
It's hard to say.
You can think about
I
it
know you
because
don't
we're
wanna
not making our own
answer it, but I-
decisions right now.
I mean, the 2-for-1 takes care of
Okay.
2 issues.
Because I'm just thinking that if you have one coming off lease this year and we replace it with one, and then we look to do the other one next year, it's kind of a wash, so to speak, you
Well, we're still
Yeah.
down, that's the problem.
know? No, I know.
You got two that are going up, well, like I said, to auction soon, or we're gonna trade them in. They may get,
Oh, I don't care.
You gonna sit there and good?
That's my
Thank you for all you guys do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we've teamed up with SCROG to do a new pavement management system. So what that does is that'll evaluate all our roads in town to try to get us a better ability to plan what work we want to do. Here's a table of the different levels of the pavement condition ratings. And you can see generally we're somewhere in the neighborhood of the mid-70s. And that's, we want to be higher than that if possible. Fair to excellent is the level that we want to be at, so we're maintaining our roads.
Can I ask a question that's not appropriate, this, but just to understand these? Sure. So Jackson Robin right now, what is that called? What's happening there?
That's called reclamation. So we're
So it's
essentially
down here, reclaim overlay?
Right, yeah, so that's a more expensive process.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
wanna-
obviously, but I didn't know, that would be kind of the most expensive process, right?
Other than complete reconstruction.
Yeah, where you're actually going down to clay and.
Yep.
Like
Okay.
Twin Lakes is going to be a complete reconstruction, which is what we got the
Well,
grant for.
Yeah, except
Yeah.
the drainage is done there.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yes,
The
it would
tops
be-
have to get replaced, so, yeah.
I was just looking at that and trying to get the feel for like, what was that? Because that was,
Yeah.
that's a big undertaking
Yeah.
versus like crack seal. I know what crack seal
Yeah.
is. I know what an overlay is, a thin overlay. Okay, that gives me a better idea. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so that's essentially grinding up all the pavement and including it in the base material to improve the base material.
Gotcha.
And then you pave over the top of that.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's, I didn't realize that's
So the next slide here kind of shows the deterioration of pavement over time. The red line is where we obviously want to stay above. And the object is to try to utilize routine maintenance and preventative maintenance, more cost-effective methods to keep the pavement in good condition. So we're always looking as well, as you know, for the lots of funding to try to get grants and what have you to do the larger type projects. And then here you can see, this is a graph of normalizing to the crack sealing as $1, and then what each other type of construction or pavement management costs compared to crack sealing. So and I'll get into some of the details of a little bit of the different methods. This is a chart that I had to replace. If you see the handout that I gave you, I had the wrong number in there for a couple of the items. Fog sealing is the second cheapest way to treat the roads. And then double microsurfacing is a little bit more expensive. So obviously we want to stay at mill and overlay or to the left. Otherwise it gets a lot more expensive. So even though you may have to do crack sealing 2 or 3 times on a road, it still is less expensive than not doing anything and then having to reconstruct the whole road. And that's kind of the process that we've been doing over the years. I think it's been very effective in just trying to continue that with a couple new methods.
Quick question.
Sure.
That a mill and overlay, that's not the same process that we had a problem with a couple of years ago, right? that.
No, I think that-
Mill in place or whatever it was. or- Yeah.
What was that,
Yeah.
Tommy?
That
Because
was
I-
cold.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah,
biting
that
my
was
tongue.
terrible.
I'm even surprised it's still up there. The chip seal's just no good, I'm telling you that right now.
Tommy's
Chip
not a big
seal
fan of
or,
chip seal.
no, you had the one that was,
Isn't it, what's on my road, chip seal?
Rubber chip.
No chip seal.
Chip seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Don't
shrapnel at your
use
car
that,
every day.
It's not worth it.
No.
Yeah, so the
stuff.
milling removes actual, like, up to 2 inches or so of pavement,
Removes your
then you
paint.
put new pavement on top.
And is that the standard thickness too, the new stuff, or is it a little bit thinner because of the?
Generally speaking, 4 inches is a total surface, so it's 2 inches of the base material and 2 inches of the surface course. So here's crack sealing that we've seen around town all the time. Very typical. This method is very important to try to keep the water from getting into the roadway. Once the water gets in there, it'll create potholes and more damage to the road.
Do we sub that out, or do we do it?
Yeah, no, all these methods, other than some of the road reconstruction and drainage, we sub out to subcontractors for major construction and paving. So one of the new types of processes that we want to use is called fog seal with rejuvenators. So this is a simple, low-cost method, and it's for younger roads, so 5 to 7 years from the last time that they had a major resurfacing. What this does is it has an emulsion that's sprayed onto the surface, and it penetrates the cracks in the voids, and it gets in there and it kind of rejuvenates it, gives it a little more flexibility, and obviously it removes some of the oxidation of the process. So this is, one thing, this is one of the proposals that we have for this year, is we're gonna try to do this on several roads, and see how it works. And we had a presentation from a company that does this all the time, and it really looks promising.
So
Try it on
basically,
Thomas Road.
and when the asphalt is drying out, is what
Yeah.
happens.
It
This is
shrinks.
This is just putting more liquid into it and it penetrates.
But does it expand? I mean, the asphalt cracks and then it shrinks, right? That's essentially what happens. Like is it going to rejuvenate and expand it? That's my first question. My second, is there any type of EPA or health hazard to that?
Nope, so this is, there isn't. It's a process that's been used all over the place, and no, it doesn't have any significant
Agent Orange.
environmental concerns. Yeah, it has some asphalt emulsions that are typically found in the pavement already.
Okay.
And so crack sealing is the process where if it shrinks up and you get a lot of times you see that down the center line of the road. You get the 2 different courses, and then where they butt up, you end up with that problem of the shrinkage.
And that's all because of the new asphalt that's out
I've
there.
had that problem.
So this would probably help correct my road. It'll seal all those chips
We have a
in.
plan. We have a plan.
Forget your road.
So,
Tommy lives on Sandblaster Lane.
between this and driveways?
It's probably similar. Driveway seal.
Yes.
the exact question
I asked when I saw this when they came. I was just
with
looking at it,
Yeah.
that's like just said Tommy.
It's probably a similar process, it's just a larger scale. Yeah, so it kind of gets the asphalt,
larger scale, more money.
yeah.
Do they need to do
Yeah,
crack
it's
seal before they do
The
this
same
process, or
product,
no?
just with a nicer label.
Not
and
necessarily, because
price.
this is done on a younger pavement, so if you have to crack seal it, then this would be the process to use.
It seems a
It
lot.
has to penetrate and then rejuvenate.
After you
It has
do
some
this-
kind of motion
It was after they did it and they came back.
It's-
He
it's
was,
what
they
kind
were,
of-
they were.
what
It's
kind
a
of-
polymer product.
So it's-
That's what I said when I said
So
my church, I was like, this is
it keeps it back up to 5 to 7 years of the top condition of the road.
It's interesting.
So how new is this, actually?
This process?
So here,
How new is this process? It's not new,
it's not new.
They've been using it a little more and more lately. If you go across from Tractor Supply in Guilford, you can see Guilford just did it on a bunch of side roads there. So the roads, they look like they're sealed. But he showed us it's actually penetrating and melting 3/8 of an inch into the asphalt.
Yeah.
So you're creating that barrier, you know,
Yeah, to get it
versus
to,
when it gets dry and porous, the water just starts sinking in and.
That makes
So when
sense.
you come into my road, do my driveway.
Yeah, got that
All
on
right.
camera?
we'll just have a
We're
little,
gonna test it on Farmington Drive, maybe see how it works out.
Yeah, I like that idea.
just have a little overspray.
Then put the chip seal on top of that.
And then microsurfacing is a process that we're proposing for next year, next fiscal year. And again, it's, we're gonna do a double microsurfacing, which is 3/4 of an inch thickness. You don't have to do any, we can replace the basins if we need to, but they take care of covering those up. So when they do the process, it's right up against the catch basins. It doesn't change you won't have to change all the elevations of everything as you go along. And again, this is improved skid resistance, so it has a little rougher surface. I think maybe on a Forest Road, maybe, because did the state do it on that road? It's kind of a little rougher surface, so it improves the quality of the road.
So that's 3/4 of an inch thick, and it like sticks to the top of what's
Yeah,
there?
yep,
So it's like a skim coat? over the
Exactly,
top?
yeah.
They put an emulsion down first, they put that stone through it all, seals right up.
So when it's all done, they don't have the loose chips, right?
Correct, there's no leaking, right. And it's probably within an hour to an hour and a half, you're able to drive on it again, just like it's a normal road.
But now, does the road have to be good and smooth before, like, you're not gonna
Yes,
put that
yep,
over
so
a
that,
road that's got...
exactly, so this is, again, the, further on the left-hand side of all the curves and everything, that has to be in a fairly good condition, right? And this one, you might do crack sealing ahead of time, and then put this surface over the top of it to make a complete surface coat.
Thank you.
Yep. And again, this is some of just, we're going to go through this fairly quickly. This is just the more involved types of construction as we go along. The mill and overlay, you're very familiar with. A couple of different projects. You can see the milling machine there on the left-hand picture. While this says cold in place recycling, it looks more like it would just be more of our normal drainage and road work that we would do in-house. And then this is the full depth reclaim. This is what we're reclaiming up at Robin and Jackson right now. And it's a much more expensive and more involved process. Here you can kind of see the different types of, we try to stay within the crack seal and the chip seal as the majority treatment processes that we use, because it extends the life, a less expensive process. And then this is our cost summary. Let's see. So we're proposing for fiscal year 25-26 a total of $909,000. And the breakdown as follows. So from the town budget, it'll be $304,265. Then we have $301,000 from the municipal project grants, $273,730 from town aid, and $30,000 from LoCIP this year. That is our proposal. And what we try to do is, in order to keep the rating of the roads equal or better, we need to spend approximately $1 million a year to keep that up. And once we complete the pavement management system, we'll be able to better understand what the overall quality is of the roads in town. And then we'll be able to make sure that we use the most cost-effective methods to keep those roads equal or better, better than that rating. Thank you very much.
So do we have a formal grading? I know you talked about how
Yeah.
you score the roads.
Yep.
Is that something we do internally, or do we outsource that?
Generally, we outsource that. It's a one-time process, and then as we improve roads, we can update that ourselves internally. But it's to get it updated, I think it's been at least 10 or 15 years since the last time we did a full town-wide evaluation. And luckily, we were able to piggyback onto the SCROG. They're funding the program.
Okay, thanks.
And Twin Lakes Road is getting ready to be designed. That we got that in.
Yeah, we just got the proposals in, so we're reviewing the proposals and getting ready to move forward with that design. And then probably next year, we'll go for the full construction.
What's the estimated time frame for a full, once you start the project to, like, in a year's time?
Yeah, probably be about a year. And then also, we were able to get Sea Hill approved to put in an application for LATSIP as well. We're working with a company, Beta, that through SCROG, and again, SCROG is funding the application process, so we're very lucky on that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right.
You
Is
want to
any-
talk Norfolk Center again there too?
Yeah, Northford Center,
Yeah,
yeah.
what are your capital
Okay, yes, so we have a capital request. Let me just review. Let's see, where's my capital request? I don't know if I have that in front of me, but I believe it was a capital request for just over $30,000. So far, SCROG has been funding the evaluation of the Northford Center and what we can do to improve that area, improve sidewalks, possibly a boulevard behind the plazas to be able to get back and forth and have a more controlled entrance onto the state roads there. And then also, so what we need funding for is survey work in order to move forward with additional design. So that's just over $30,000 for that effort for the capital cost.
Is this to help that whole intersection too, the flow, traffic flow?
Yes, yep. And there's some different proposals. One of them is going back to two-way coming down by the church there, and then eliminating that really crazy angled entrance so you don't have to crane your neck back and to get out onto the road there.
So one of them's Ardsley too, where it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And it aligns.
So when this came to the council a couple years ago, I think I remember it was 100% funded by the state.
So far, it's been 100% funded, all the studies and everything,
Why
but
do we need to, if everything's going to be funded by the state, why do we have to do?
That's what they're requiring us to do, is they're requiring us to do the engineering.
yeah, it's part of the design work we have to.
That's probably our match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In a lot of these, there's somewhat of a town match.
yeah, that's what they ask us to pony up.
It's like Twin Lakes Road, we had to do a couple $100,000 as
Yeah, the
our match.
design work, exactly, yeah.
But wasn't there a drawing kind of already out what they were talking on? Do we actually have something? Has a drawing?
There's a few.
Yes,
There's a
yeah.
few that were generated,
There's
and they're
probably
actually
been-
on the town website. You can actually see.
Yeah.
5.
And then what this will help us do is be able to finalize that and to be able to get a final design. There will be more public input as part of that.
So if it actually goes through, is it 100% funded by the state, or do we have to match it? If we go and do anything?
So as far as the construction, we don't have any number yet on what it would cost or what kind of concepts we would have. We would be looking for grants. So one thing would be the LATSIP grant again. That would be, because it's the type of road it is, it would cover it. Also, it would improve the pedestrian traffic in that area. So we don't know yet if it'll be 100% covered, but we'll get every grant we can to make sure that it is covered as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions?
No, it's good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna have the budget and the budget backup binders available both digitally and hard. Is there any member of the council that would want to forego getting a binder and just do it digitally? Or do you?
Digital.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need a binder.
I would like
I don't need the banner.
Who wants a binder?
No, he doesn't have a zip drive.
Craig wants a binder.
It's on the.
Marie, do you want a binder or just digital?
The G drive?
Digital?
As long as it's easy to get to them digitally.
Yeah, we'll tab it out. So it
Yeah.
should be-
Can it be searchable?
It's like 200 meg.
I think, I don't know.
Well, can you put it on the side by department?
Yeah, it would be tabbed out.
Need a separate file.
No, that's what.
It's not PDF, right?
I think so.
Well, that's why I want it tabbed out on the side, so you can see park, rec, all the.
That should be like a gift. I don't think that would be one of those things. I think so. Otherwise, I need although that's not true. The Dropbox is not always right here. I'm just like scrolling through shit.
Well, no, it's not Dropbox.
I know that.
We haven't adjourned yet, right?
Oh, have we adjourned?
So then I don't.
Oh.
Adjourn.
Well, they're just trying, so right, well, Anthony's trying to get us an answer of,
This is how you would get it. It'd be an Excel sheet, the same thing you had before in paper. It'd be left to right. It'd be the summary page. Then it would be the personnel page.
so
Keep
what are
going.
there, tabs on the bottom?
No, it's just all horizontally, left to right.
No, I can't do that.
That's why.
So confusable.
If it's not searchable, then this is just a big Excel spreadsheet that we have to go.
Yeah, I can't.
I thought it was gonna be a PDF by
I'll be
department
going.
all together in one thing.
How many pages is it actually?
You want me to
so I
scan
wanna
them in
print that
PDF?
one now?
Scan them in PDF?
We could PDF it.
We could scan them in PDF and put them out there that way for you, if that's easier.
That's how I thought.
Yeah, I can't do
what that looks
this, one Excel spreadsheet that you just keep going across.
PDF it, then it's okay.
It'll be like the universe, it never ends.
Thank God the Board of Ed is only one page.
Well, if we try it online, electronically, then can we default back to the paper?
Yeah, we're gonna have the binders anyway, so.
Yeah, I'll do the binders.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We are adjourned.